We're now going to duplicate what we just saw, but we're going to do it by drawing on this piece of paper. You're going to want to use a ruler anytime you're drawing lines so they're nice and neat and clean. Remember to draw light so that if you make any mistakes, you can erase without erasing a hole through your paper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my horizon line. This is a simple horizontal line going across my paper. It should be near the center of my paper. It doesn't have to be exact. And now I'm going to draw my vanishing point. Just a small dark point or dot near the center of my horizon line, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm first going to start by drawing a cube over here. The first thing you do is so simple. It's just drawing a square. Let's see, I'll make each side of my square 1.5 inches. Please remember, every vertical line is parallel to the side of your paper. What that means is if I line this ruler up with the line I just drew and I slide it over, it should line up with the side of my paper. Making sure all the horizontals and verticals in 1 point perspective are parallel. That means if we continue these two lines, they should never ever touch. Same with these, parallel. That's step 1. Step 2, I'm gonna take every corner, I'm calling these corners, meow, 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 meow. You're gonna take every corner to the vanishing point. So very lightly, lining up the corner of the square with the vanishing point and just making a very light line. This is called a spider line. To remind you, it should be light and easily taken away like thread of spiderweb. Can you see I'm doing the same thing with every single corner of the box? Don't forget this one. This is the forgotten corner. It's like the middle child. Students often forget it. We're going to draw this cube or box as if it's made of glass and we can see through it. Now the next point, you get to make some decisions. You can make this box as far back as you want. For example, you can make the box go way back here. I'll show you how. Make sure, especially on this point, this is where your lines will stop being parallel, so make sure you check yourself. And if I want to, I can end the box all the way back here. You see how this front line is between this line and this line? Okay, so that means your back line has to be also between this line and this line. That's probably super basic for a lot of you, but hopefully helpful. Same thing here. I'm gonna make sure that this horizontal line here is gonna be parallel to the one I draw back here. Let me check that again. I don't think I slid that very neatly. Okay. And again, since this front line is between this and this, our back edge will be between this line and this line. All right, so I could make it all the way back there, or if I wanted to, I could make this box really thin. Okay, again, since it has to be between this line and this line, you could draw a line, making sure that it's parallel with this one. And same thing here. So do you see how it's my choice where I cut off this box? It's up to you. For the sake of this exercise, I would recommend making your box as square as possible. So I'm gonna take my kneadable eraser here, and I'm gonna erase those little lines there, and these lines here. Okay. And I'm not gonna make a really long box. I'm not gonna make a really short box. I'm just gonna make one about in the middle. Pretty square, like a cube. Alrighty. I'm just touching up these lines since I erased them a little. Remember, draw light first. You can always erase, because everyone makes mistakes, as Miley Cyrus says. So I'm going to put the back edge of my box around here. That feels good to me. Again, I'm making sure that this line is parallel to this one. Otherwise, your box will look super wonky. Trust me. And same thing here, making sure that my horizontals are parallel, because in 1 point perspective, verticals are always parallel, horizontals are always parallel, and diagonals go where? Always to the vanishing point, or VP. Alright, so I've gotten this far in my cube, and most students will say, yay, I'm finished. But remember, this is a glass box. So we need to draw these lines here. This is where a lot of students get confused. Don't. It's so simple. So you're just gonna start where this line ends, and you're gonna take it to this line here. That's it. Remember, this needs to be parallel because it's a horizontal. This might not match up perfectly because we're not robots. Thank goodness we're humans. But just make it match the best you can. From this point up here to this point here, you're gonna make a vertical. Try to make sure that it's again parallel with your other verticals. It may be kind of confusing, but once I remove lines, you'll start to see the cube. All right. Now there's something kind of freaky here, an optical illusion. Go ahead and convince yourself that this is the front of the cube. Okay? Now convince your brain, if you can, that this is the front of the cube. Is that kind of trippy? So you want to show the viewer of your art, this is what's in front, so they don't get confused. How you do this is something super simple and also a great tool. It's called line variation. It basically means all lines closer to you are going to be darker and thicker than lines far away from you. Please be sure to use your ruler even when you're thickening lines so that your lines look crisp and clean. Something that'll really make it shine is if you make these diagonals here a little thicker towards the front and thinner as they go back. If you can master these skills with the cube and understand the principles that go with this, then you will be ready to draw all sorts of things in 1 point perspective. So again, I'm adding what right now? Line variation to be able to communicate to the viewer this side of my cube is in front. And that's how you draw a cube in 1-point perspective. Please remember that wherever you draw this cube, it's going to look different depending on its relationship to the vanishing point and whether it's above, on, or below the horizon line.